Sticking with the Tour, Tadej Pogačar, we know he had a broken wrist, etc., etc. You will all know that Ewan is a huge Tadej Pogačar fan and a huge Tour of Slovenia fan after you were there last year. But I mean, it looks like he's not going to be going to the race this year, unfortunately. And yeah, what's his Tour de France preparations going to be before the Tour now, taking into account that injury recovery he needs?
Well, he had a press conference. I missed it, so I've just been reading up on other people's reports from it. And in that press conference, Pogacar spoke about his plans for the month to come. Some people were worried that he was going to announce that he wasn't going to ride the Tour de France, but instead he actually just said, yes, I'm going to be at the Tour de France, but I'm scaling back my preparations in terms of his racing. So he will not be going to the Tour of Slovenia. Instead, he will be going to the National Championships of Slovenia in, I believe, both the road race and the time trial, which will be very interesting. He has the opportunity to get national championships bans before starting the Tour de France a week later in Bilbao. This gives him more chance for his wrist to heal up. The Tour of Slovenia is scheduled for a week and a half's time. So for Pogacar, he just gets that extra couple of weeks of recovery where he doesn't have to sort of be jetting around and he can sort of rest up and prepare for the Tour de France. Also, what I found interesting in this press conference is that someone asked him about Remco Evenepoel and what he thought of Remco Evenepoel and the Tour de France, and Tadej said, if I were Remco, I'd want to be at the Tour de France. So he's added his tuppence on top of what we've said already. And the headline here is that Pogacar not going to the Tour of Slovenia, instead just the Nationals. A very, very scaled back approach.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting that that's the case as well. Obviously, UAE perhaps concerned about his kind of coming back from that Liège crash, and there are pictures, of course, on social media and whatnot of him training at the moment with like a wrist brace on, which I don't know. Part of me is concerned in a way that what are going to be the long term, but what could be the implications of it for the Tour, basically? Because Jonas is, as we are aware, uninjured right now. He's fine. So it seems that Jonas has had a bit of a smoother kind of run into this Tour, so long as the Dauphiné goes fine. And, we saw on a 2020 Tour. Before that, Roglic and Pogačar were doing the Slovenian national champs, and, they were both absolutely flying at the Tour. So there's no real reason why missing out on the Tour of Slovenia is going to mean that Pogacar is going to be in bad form. But I certainly don't think the fact that he's still riding with a wrist brace on, given that we're less than a month out, it's not filling me with the most confidence. But is that just me? Am I over analysing the fact that he's still got a wrist brace on?
No, because he himself has speculated about it. In said press conference, quote, he said, I think for the Tour de France, I will still need a soft brace around my wrist just for a bit of support. I hope that I get more or less mobility to go out of the saddle and sprinting before the Tour. So that does worry me a little bit, that even he himself is saying in a press conference that he might not be 100% ready in terms of his mobility, but hoping it's all going to be there in time. Wrist brace would be, I think, slightly unique. I don't think we see that an awful lot in cycling. We see sort of like knee support, but never really wrist. So hopefully Pogacar's there, because he needs to be ready to be sprinting and getting out of the saddle in the first 2 days of racing at this year's Tour de France, where he could even take a stage win, you would think. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried, but he's keeping his same sort of jovial self. He joked about breaking doctors' orders and stuff by going out on his bike earlier than they wanted him to. So I reckon he's going to be there. It's Pogacar. If anybody's going to sort of mend in time and do all that, it's going to be him.
Especially since part of Pogacar's big kind of cycling personality is his aggressive sort of going for bonus seconds and stuff and winning stages from sprints amongst GC riders or amongst punchers, and that's part of his sort of mystique, if you want to call it that. And it would be a shame to lose that, especially in the first couple of stages, because of this. Hopefully, well, he's saying that he might have to wear a soft one for the first few days, so maybe we don't see a flying kind of as aggressive racing Pogacar in the first couple of days, but maybe as long as everything stays fine, then he'll be more kind of aggressive in the third week or second and third week. But I don't know, there's also the risk of what if he knocks it in. It's very easy in a peloton just to kind of bash handlebars of somebody, or have a crash, and it's a chaotic start, especially since it's going to be a road stage as well. Part of me is concerned that, when you have an injury, it's prone to being injured again, in a kind of easier way, because it is not as strong. So I really hope that he just kind of stays wrapped in cotton wool, which is obviously why he's not being sent to the Tour of Slovenia, because that adds in an element of uncertainty. It's more race days, it's more chances for things to go wrong, for other riders to make mistakes around him. So I can understand why they've done what he's done. I just really hope that we get full Pogačar, because I want an interesting tour. I don't just want Jonas to be rocking up as the favourite and just win by 5 minutes. Pogačar's the guy who we're all wanting this head-to-head again, and like last year, because it was so good last year. So fingers crossed for Pogačar that he's going to be okay.
Can you actually think of a rider where they've had an injury leading up to it and then doing well at the Tour? Obviously, there's been riders in the Tour who's ridden through injuries, but it's completely like you said, Patrick.
2021, not going for GC, I'll say that, but Wout van Aert came into the Tour de France just after having his appendix removed. It took him some time, but he went 3 stages.
Yeah, but again, it's not GC. Can you think of a GC rider?
GC. Yeah, it's different.
No. I don't think I can.
Contador, the 2014 Vuelta a España, rode that whole race with a knee brace. In terms of all that muscle tape, I don't know what the difference is. Physiologists berate me in the comment section, but he had quite a lot of uncertainty about where his knee was, and he was still fighting up there. He won the race.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because it's a shame.
Yeah, no one wants to go into a Grand Tour injured, but yeah, I mean, it's just part and parcel of it. I didn't quite realize when the crash happened just how long this road to recovery would take, but he's racing with the other guys. He's in high spirits. It could happen. He could be there. It might take some time, but yeah, I don't doubt.
Was it Roglic that missed one year the Dauphiné, the Tour de Suisse, and the Tour of Slovenia, and went straight into the Tour de France? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, you are right. I swear he did do that. He just missed everything. I think it might have been 2021.
No,
was it 2022? It was in the last 2 years, I swear, because then he came in and then he crashed anyway, so it was just completely pointless.
Yeah.
That would have been 2021.
Yeah. I do remember a Dauphiné where Roglic crashed on a descent. I think that was the year where Martinez won.
Yeah, Roglic rode the Tour of Slovenia in 2018, so it must be 2021.
But I mean, if someone's going to win it with a wrist brace, I can't see anyone else but Tadej Pogačar doing it, to be honest.
Agreed.
Would this change UAE's plans in any way? Let's say he's not up to it in the mountains. Are they gonna keep a plan B leader or something like that?
I feel like it's just all in on Pogačar. No offense to anybody else, but it is kind of like a Jonas and Pogačar thing. It's one of those kind of classic kind of heads to heads that we're going to be reflecting on 20 years down the line. I'm just not sure UAE have somebody else who's going to be really standing up to the mantle of it. And especially since the Tour, it goes up the Tourmalet in the first freaking week. It's not like it's sort of if you want to call it a traditional tour where they sort of have a week of some puncher stages, a TT and sprints and stuff. It gets quite underway pretty abruptly. And therefore Pogačar is going to need to be, able to fight in the mountains. Maybe we just see him in the saddle more. He did fine in Flanders without getting out of the saddle too much. He is quite able to kind of produce that torque whilst in the saddle, so maybe it won't affect him too much, and maybe he'll just reach full Pogačar form in the final week. When you see him go out of the saddle, you think, oh my, this is it. He's better. He's healed. His wrist brace, when you see his wrist brace come off in stage 11 or something, you'll be like, this is it. It's about to go down. Jonas wakes up that morning scared. He's like, oh no, the wrist brace has come off. It's going to be painful today.
We'll wait and see. I mean, this is pure speculation. This will probably end up dating like a bag of piss in about 3 weeks' time.
Or he doesn't even enter the Tour de France. Oh, imagine if he gets the national jersey.
I wasn't thinking about that route, but okay.